Hey guys, this is Lexi from Dogs Are My Patronus on Tumblr. So recently I'd had a few conversations with people regarding my dog training advice columns and whether I would ever consider doing videos because some people tend to be more audio learners as opposed to visual learners. And it's really hard for me to edit myself when I'm talking, especially since I don't know how to edit videos and condense them if I end up rambling or going off a tangent. But I'm willing to try anything, so let's see how this goes. Maybe it works out. So because the conversation in question was on resource guarding, I thought that's as good a subject to start with as any, even though it's one of those things that on the internet we're like, don't ask me about resource guarding because it's animal behavior, and I don't want to give you advice where you're going to come back to me and say, hey, my dog bit me in the face, so thanks a lot. You know, that's terrible. We don't want that to happen to anybody. Nevertheless, even though if you think your dog is resource guarding and responding defensively and the risk of getting bit is there, I highly urge you to go seek out a dog trainer or animal behaviorist who can help you out in person because every dog is different and, it's animal behavior. So it's just one of those things that you're really going to want the help of someone who can see the situation as it is and give you advice and tips based on the individual situation. But that doesn't stop us from going over what is resource guarding and why is my dog resource guarding to begin with. Because a common misconception about resource guarding is that your dog is doing it to dominate you because he's trying to say, I'm in control. When actually what your dog is saying is, I'm scared. I think my food's going to disappear. I think my favorite toy is going to disappear. I'm afraid. I don't trust you. I need to guard my stuff with my life because I think it could go away at any moment. And this is just a really unfortunate split because what happens is that dog trainers come out there and they say your dog is trying to dominate you. So their response is, take away his food, take away his toys, give them back, show him you're in control. And instead of curing it, you're actually making it worse because you're just reaffirming your dog's fear that his things could disappear at any given moment. You're not building a trusting relationship. You're just increasing the problem. And that's what ends up leading to a dog who either snaps and ends up biting you, which really sucks because then what happens is they either get rehomed or even put down. And it's just something that could have been avoided so easily. Or they shut down. And then you have a dog that just exists. That's all he does, is he exists. And you don't have a relationship there. You just have a dog that, yeah, he does what you tell him to do, but he has no will to live, really. He just exists. And I think that's so sad when dogs are there that just exist. That's it. That's all they do. And it's just so sad because you could have it so much better. I mean, when you see a dog that's totally shut down and you see a dog that is so full of life and so eager to please and so eager to work with you, how could you ever want a dog that just doesn't care anymore? And the thing is that, yeah, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of time. And we're talking sometimes it can take years for a dog to get over his resource guarding and for you to build that trust. But why wouldn't you try? And if you're not willing to try, why do you have a dog? I don't, I mean, if you're not willing to work with your dog on his behavior problems, yeah. Anyway, getting back to the point, resource guarding stems from fear. Your dog's afraid. So the way to treat it is to tell him you don't have to be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. I'm not going to take away your food. I'm not going to take away your toys. Everything's fine. Everything's safe. And if your dog is already resource guarding, I would not mess with his food. Just give him his food and step back and work at it from a different angle outside of meal times. Teach him that the hand will give food and won't take it away. The hand will give you toys. I'm not going to mess with you. You're not going to ever be wanting for anything. You're not going to starve. You don't have to worry. And it's just something that you can build up over time with a dog who already is resource guarding, and it's something you can avoid with a dog who isn't by just confirming, hey, this is we can trust each other. You can trust me. I have your best interest in heart, in mind. And just by, like I said, not taking away their food, not taking away their toys, not trying to establish your dominance over them or anything like that. Of course, sometimes situations come where you do have to take something away from them because it could literally kill them. And in a situation where your dog is already resource guarding, it can be really tricky because, yeah, I mean, if he's sitting there chewing on chocolate or the bleach canister, I mean, you need to act quickly, but you also don't want to get bit. So the trading game comes into play here, and I think it's so important. And sometimes, yeah, you do have to get a little creative with it, but it's one of those things that solves the problem, but also does more than that because it establishes that you aren't trying to harm them and that they are not going to lose anything. It's just a trade-off, and it's a voluntary exchange that you're initiating and that they are choosing to go into with you. So, for example, let's say your dog managed to raid the snack cabinet and they just tore off with a bar of chocolate. What I would do then is I would get something they really like, and sometimes, yeah, I have to get creative. Sometimes I have to crack a raw egg in a bowl and, have at it and entice them with something like that, or, raw meat, something really slimy and disgusting that they just absolutely love. And, hold that in front of them and get them to drop the candy bar and come for it instead. And then I take it away and I say, good, not this, this you can have. And you can start it with a puppy. If they come out with your shoe, never just take the shoe away. You can just give them something as stuff, like take the shoe away, but give them a rope or give them a chew toy, something that they can chew on, and say, not this, this. And reaffirm, I'm not taking away anything from you. I'm simply making a trade-off with you. And that's really important in your relationship with your dog, that they understand, I'm not trying to take away anything from you. I'm simply redirecting you to something that I think you would like better. And that's how you end up building a trusting relationship, so that later on, if it does come to the point where your dog is chewing on something absolutely dangerous, like a cooked chicken bone that they pulled out of the garbage, you can say, drop it, give that to me, and they will, because you have already established that trust in your relationship. And in a case where they unfortunately, because maybe you adopted them at a later age or they already have certain issues, you can work on it with them by simply, let's say, your newly adopted and completely reactive dog has just gotten into the garbage. You can say, okay, I'm not going to, just think quick and grab some, raw meat from the fridge, grab some bologna or whatever it is they really like, and hold it out in front of them, and then hope that they drop it and grab at it. Usually that works, but then, like I said, this is one of those specifics where it might not work with your dog, and that's why you should probably talk to a trainer. But the principle is the same. You don't want to take away from your dog, and you don't want to confirm his fear that he has to protect his things with his life because he might lose them. You want him to understand that he will never want for anything. You're not trying to ruin his life. You're not a danger. You're not a threat. And you can work on that trust. The specifics, like I said, are going to vary. These are just some generic just really generic, general examples of what it might look like to do the training game, or what it might look like to build trust, and the kinds of trust exercises you can do. The bottom line is, you want to have a good relationship with your dog. Your dog should be excited to work with you. Your dog should be excited to do things with you. You don't want a dog that just blindly follows commands and is completely shut off and shut down and has no spring in his step or excitement or anything like that. And I think that an understanding of how your dog ticks and what his reasoning is behind that will help you go a long way in helping to resolve, any behavior problems that your dog might have. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to cut it off at this point because it's almost 10 minutes long, and I don't think anyone wants to hear me talk that long. And I really hope this helps. And if anyone has any questions, you're always free to message me or comment or whatever it is. I'm always happy to help any way I can. Bye.